Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our IDN broadcast. I'm Afif Fathian Akbar. The story dominating international headlines continues to be the seismic shift in global trade, spearheaded by the United States. For years, we've talked about trade wars and tariffs, but what we are witnessing now is the maturation of a policy that is actively reshaping the world economy. The US administration has not only upheld but dramatically expanded its system so, of so-called reciprocal tariffs, sending its clearest message yet. The era of globalized free trade, as we knew it, is over. The goal is no longer just about the leverage, it's about fundamentally rewiring global supply chains. Let's break down what this means. The core philosophy is one of economic sovereignty. The administration argues that for decades, the US has allowed other nations to benefit from open access to its markets while facing high tariffs and trade barriers abroad. This new policy seeks to level the playing field by matching the tariffs of other countries direct for that approach. But the latest actions go even further, using tariffs as a tool for both economic and geopolitical objectives. The two nations being the most significant impact are unsurprisingly China and India. The US has now raised the average tariff on Chinese exports to a staggering 67%. To put that into perspective, this is a more than tenfold increase from the average rates seen before 2025. The targets everything from high-tech electronics and machinery to everyday consumer goods, aiming to make Chinese manufacturing prohibitively expensive for the American market. Meanwhile, India now faces an average tariff of 50%. This move is explicitly linked into its strategic decisions, most notably its ongoing trade of Russian crude oil. It marks a significant moment where US trade policy is being used as a direct lever to influence foreign policy, effectively placing a step economic price on actions deemed contrary to American interest. However, this isn't a blanket policy. The rates are tailored. Look at Mexico, for example. As key partner under the USMCA agreement, it faces a much lower reciprocal rate of 10%. This contrast highlights a strategic calculus, rewarding allies and punishing adversaries through economic means. But this policy isn't just being felt abroad. The ripple effects are landing squarely on American shores. The Department of Commerce recently announced a massive expansion of its Section 232 tariffs on steel and aluminum, which were initially justified on grounds of national security. Over 400 new product categories have been added to this list. This means the steel and aluminum content in a vast array of goods is now subject to a heavy 50% duty. We're not just talking about industrial materials. We're talking about finished products that are essential to modern life and industry. The list includes components for wind turbines, which are critical for the green energy sector. It includes heavy-duty mobile cranes used in constructions across the country, the metal frame of our office here, the aluminum in our furniture, and even the packaging for cosmetics. Essentially, if it contains significant foreign steel or aluminum, its price is set to surge. So, what does this mean for the average American family? Economists are warning that this is not a victimless policy. On one hand, the administration points to a significant upside for the government's finances. The Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, projects that the revenue from these tariffs could reduce the federal deficit by as much as $4 trillion over the next decade. This is presented as a way to bolster the nation's financial health without raising domestic taxes. But that money doesn't appear out of thin air. The costs are being passed directly to American business and ultimately to consumers. A recent study from the Peterson Institute for International Economics estimates that the average US household could face a real income loss as of much as $2,400 this year alone due to higher prices. We're already seeing this play out in real time. Retailers are sounding the alarm. The back to school season, often a barometer for consumer spending, is looking grim for parents' wallets. A new National Retail Federation survey shows that 72% of parents expect to pay significantly higher prices this year, and their expectations are well founded. The cost of certain goods is seeing dramatic, almost unbelievable increases. In the short term, some imported shoes have seen price hikes of up to 39%, and children's apparel is not far behind, with increases as high as 37%. For a family on a tight budget, that's not an inconvenience, it's a crisis. The global reaction has been, as you might expect, a complex mix of retaliation and negotiation. As expected, China has responded in kind. It has implemented its own retaliatory tariffs, setting its average tariff on US goods at 32.6%. It affects American farmers, tech companies, and manufacturers who rely on the vast Chinese markets, continuing a costly economic battle with no clear end in sight. For now, that's all for IDN broadcast.